good afternoon, or good night, or good morning, whenever it may be that you're viewing this. My name is Diego Alvarado. And just with those short few seconds of communication, you're able to come up with a lot about me in your own mind. Everything from the words I'm using, to my appearance, to just the environment. Those few little short seconds of communication are vital in establishing the relationship that you'll have towards me. The foundation and the structure of every single relationship and essentially every single interaction that we have all boils down to one thing, and that is communication. Communication is one of the building blocks of our relationship, not just to each other, but to ourselves and to the world that we live in. From our ancestors who used to communicate with grunts and cave drawings. So right now in today's age where we can communicate either through words or electronic means, we as people are built upon the need to communicate with one another. Now, in an article published in 2017 by Goldman, he has a phrase that describes the relationship that we as humans have to this concept of communication. That phrase being that we are wired to connect. So what essentially this is saying is that we as people have a natural desire to interact with one another, to socialize. We are social creatures after all. We need to communicate with each other, not just for our vital basic needs, but to establish things that we want, to establish things about ourselves, to establish our futures, our presents, all of that good stuff. The book that we have, our text for this classroom, Communication Mosaic, an intro to the field of communication, actually breaks down 4 different key areas where communication helps shape our different relationships. For the purpose of this video, I'll focus on those 4 key areas that are vital in how we communicate. These areas that communication is extremely important in. The first one being our personal life. Now, from the time that we're born all the way to right now, our sense of identity and our beliefs are essentially molded by the communication that we have towards our parents, towards our siblings, towards our mentors. Just anybody that's ever told us, hey, you're really good at sports, or hey, you're really smart, all of that helps shape who we are. Our interactions growing up with each other help shape how it is that we'll behave, what it is that we'll think. One of the unfortunate things in life is there's multiple cases of children who experience tremendous neglect, children who have no communication, children who aren't born with any interaction. Probably the most famous being of Jeannie the feral child. In instances like this, we see examples of children having no sense of identity, no sense of who they are, because they lacked that essential communication, not just with their peers, but with their caregivers, with their parents growing up. So it's very important to establish our personal life in the field of communication. The next area that we'll talk about is something we probably have a lot of experience with, and that is our personal relationships. So essentially, if you want to have friends, if you want to have significant others, you have to be able to communicate. Communication is a vital ingredient in having a successful relationship. A lack of communication is often cited as the #1 reason why couples break up. In fact, according to marriage.com, this is by far and large the #1 reason why couples often break up, a lack or a fundamental misunderstanding of communication. So for example, behind me, I actually have some letters that my significant other has written me, and there right there is a perfect example of good communication. You have to be able to communicate with one another your needs, your desires, and your beliefs to be able to have a successful personal relationship. Now, on the other side of the coin, let's talk about professional life. So all of us want to have a career, all of us want to be successful in whatever industry we go in. By far and large, one of the key things, and actually the biggest thing that all employers look for when it comes to applicants, are communication skills. In fact, a study done by ZipRecruiter shows that 51% of all job applications that they researched involve the skill of communication, whether it be verbal or nonverbal, in their job adverts. So it doesn't matter if you want to go into a field of STEM, doesn't matter if you want to go into a liberal field, doesn't matter. Your employer wants you to have good communication skills, because with good communication skills in the professional life, you're able to not only be successful in the company, but to actually provide benefits to customers and to your community. Now, speaking of community, the last area that the book touches upon is the area of civic life. Now, we need to be able to effectively communicate with each other, with our communities. Our leaders need to be able to effectively communicate their plans, their actions, and we as people need to be able to communicate with them what it is that we want, what it is that we need help with. Places like the courtroom, for example, you better hope your lawyer has some good communication skills to be able to get you out of jail. Places where we're put in charge, places where there's leadership. Communication is vital to make sure that leaders and followers are successful in whatever journey and whatever goals they may have. So these four areas, personal life, professional life, personal relationships, and civic life, are just four key areas where having good communication is vital. And these four areas essentially make up who it is that we are as humans. It's almost impossible to live or be alive without experiencing these four topic areas. Essentially, if we weren't able to communicate, we would be no different than inanimate objects. From the time that we first were able to walk upright to right now, we have this desire to communicate. After all, we're wired to connect. So just like our ancestors used cave drawings and grunts to be able to live, to right now where we can use emojis and we can share TikTok videos, we're able to communicate. Who knows what we'll use in the future, but what will never go away is our desire and our nature to want to communicate with each other, because that is what makes us human.